Final Fantasy XIV in 2025 stands at a crossroads. After more than a decade of growth and success, the game has reached a period where its strengths and weaknesses are equally visible, and where its position as the clear number one MMO is no longer as certain as it once was. The financial state of the game reflects this shift. Square Enix reported in its 2025 financials that after the release of the Dawntrail expansion, MMO division sales dropped by nearly a quarter, amounting to a loss of close to 3 billion yen, while operational profits fell by almost half. These figures mark a significant decline compared to the high points of 2019 to 2021 when the game was expanding rapidly and even surpassed World of Warcraft in popularity. Shareholders have publicly acknowledged that Final Fantasy XIV remains one of Square Enix's most important pillars, but they also warn that its popularity is slipping and that something must be done to restore its momentum. The core issue is the expansion itself. Dawntrail was always in a difficult position as it followed Endwalker, which concluded one of the most ambitious storylines in MMO history. Endwalker provided a grand finale to the saga that began in A Realm Reborn, tying together years of narrative threads with enormous stakes and emotional intensity. By contrast, Dawntrail was designed as a reset. It lowered the stakes, shifted the focus to a tropical setting, and tried to reposition the Warrior of Light as a less central character. Many players felt this change drained the expansion of urgency. Characters such as Wook Lamont, who previously worked well in supporting roles, were pushed into the spotlight in ways that did not resonate with much of the player base. The pacing also suffered. The first half of the expansion is often described as slow, with meaningful plot developments delayed until many hours into the leveling experience. While later patches such as 7.2 and 7.3 introduce stronger dungeons and raids, the overall impression left by Dawntrail is one of a stumble rather than a step forward. Gameplay has also become a point of contention. The combat system, once considered a highlight of the game, has been simplified across many jobs to the point where classes feel increasingly similar. Rotations frequently follow the same 1-2-3 pattern, with different visual effects disguising the lack of mechanical variety. Healers in particular have been stripped down to the point where many players find the role monotonous. The deliberate design of combat, with slower global cooldowns and reliance on scripted mechanics, is still functional, but for veterans it no longer delivers the excitement it once did. The endgame loop shows similar problems. Dungeons, raids, and roulettes remain polished, but they follow a familiar formula that has not significantly evolved in years. Content like Variant and Criterion Dungeons was introduced as an attempt to diversify, but support for these systems has been inconsistent. Unlike World of Warcraft, which maintains long-term engagement through repeatable scaling content, such as Mythic Plus dungeons, Final Fantasy XIV struggles to provide replayability. Players often describe spending more time forming groups than actually progressing through content, and the cycle of tombstone farming and raid clears has become predictable. Despite these criticisms, the game retains important strengths. Crafting and gathering are still praised as some of the most engaging systems in any MMO, offering depth and variety far beyond what competitors provide. Housing, glamour, and other lifestyle content remain major attractions that keep communities engaged, even outside traditional progression paths. The main scenario. Quest continues to be regarded as one of the finest narratives in the history of online gaming, delivering emotional storytelling that rivals or surpasses single-player role-playing games. Even if the latest expansion story faltered, the overall saga of Final Fantasy XIV remains unmatched in scope and quality. The community is another enduring strength. While no online game is free of toxicity, Final Fantasy XIV maintains a reputation as one of the most welcoming and helpful MMO communities. The implementation of duty support, which now covers the entire story, allows new players to experience the game at their own pace with NPC allies, making it one of the most accessible MMO for people who prefer to play alone. This design choice has blurred the line between a traditional MMO and a massive single-player RPG with optional multiplayer features. The generous free trial, which now includes content up to Stormblood and level 70 without requiring a subscription, further reinforces its position as one of the most accessible and consumer-friendly MMO right now. At the same time, World of Warcraft has regained momentum. Many players returning to World of Warcraft describe it as faster, more dynamic, and mechanically richer. The spec system keeps classes distinct, while features like Mythic Plus, World Bosses, and Delves provide repeatable and unpredictable content that makes the world feel more alive. By comparison, Final Fantasy XIV's zones can feel static, with content limited to fates or occasional hunts. While Final Fantasy XIV dominates in narrative and presentation, World of Warcraft currently offers more in terms of gameplay variety and mechanical depth. The result is that in 2025, Final Fantasy XIV is no longer the uncontested leader of the MMO genre. It is still an extraordinary game. Its story, music, world design, and community are unmatched. It remains a defining experience for anyone seeking an MMO with narrative depth and emotional impact. For new players, there has never been a better time to begin, given the free trial, the duty support system, and years of content waiting to be experienced. For long-term players, however, the fatigue is harder to ignore. Dawntrail's lukewarm reception, the financial downturn, and the lack of innovation in core systems suggest that the game has entered a period of maturity rather than growth. Final Fantasy XIV in 2025 is therefore best described as stable but no longer dominant. It is not dying, nor is it irrelevant, but it has lost some of the energy that once pushed it to the very top. The MMO genre is no longer defined by a single title. Instead, Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft share the spotlight, each excelling in different areas. 14 is the narrative MMO, a place to experience sweeping stories, live in a beautifully crafted world, and engage with a supportive community. WoW, on the other hand, provides the more mechanically diverse and endlessly repeatable gameplay. Whether Final Fantasy XIV will find a way to reinvent itself, or whether it will gradually settle into a long-term maintenance phase like Final Fantasy XI before it, remains to be seen. For now, it endures as one of the genre's best games, but it is no longer the single, unquestioned king.